Have you ever wondered about the magic behind those smooth, helpful conversations you have with virtual assistants or customer service bots?
The ones that actually seem to get what you're saying.
Exactly. The ones that respond almost like a real person, making you feel understood, almost like you're talking to well, a seasoned expert.
It's a really compelling area, isn't it? The technology genuinely feels like it's getting more intuitive, well, practically every day.
I completely agree. And that's precisely what we're doing a deep dive into today. Advanced AI-powered chat systems.
Yeah, these aren't your old school chatbots.
Not at all. We're not talking about simple, pre-programmed responses here. We're exploring truly sophisticated conversational AI. What I'm really looking forward to today is pulling back the curtain on how these incredible systems actually function.
Hmm.
And I think you'll find it as illuminating as I did when I, dove into these sources we looked at. Our mission today is to unpack the core concepts, the really profound benefits, and the surprisingly practical steps involved in building these systems.
And we're focusing particularly on the Microsoft bot framework based on the sources.
Exactly. We're drawing directly from those sources you shared, giving you a clear roadmap, hopefully, to understanding this complex field without feeling, well, overwhelmed.
And we'll try to break it down so you can grasp not just the how, but also the why these are becoming so important in our world.
Okay, so with that picture in mind, let's zoom in a bit. When we talk about these advanced chat systems,
Hmm.
what really sets them apart? What are the defining characteristics?
Well, our sources point to a few key things. These are sophisticated conversational AI systems, right?
Right.
Their big capabilities are things like understanding natural language, which is, a huge deal in
Like
itself,
monumental.
generating responses that feel, well, human-like, learning from interactions over time, and handling really complex topics, even subtle nuances in conversation.
That human-like part is fascinating, but also tricky, I imagine.
It is. That's the ideal, absolutely. But it's definitely worth noting, human-like is, it's a spectrum. While they're getting incredibly sophisticated, our sources do hint at that continued challenge of truly replicating, say, nuanced human emotion or abstract reasoning without sounding a bit artificial.
So avoiding that sort of uncanny valley of conversation.
Exactly. It's a key area of ongoing development. Getting that balance right is tough.
So when a system does stumble on that kind of nuance, what's usually the main reason? What's the bottleneck?
Often it boils down to the training data, the quality, the sheer volume of it, and also the sophistication of the NLP models themselves.
So it hasn't seen enough examples.
Exactly. If the system hasn't encountered enough examples of human subtlety or specific context, it just struggles. It's this constant cycle, really. Feed it more diverse data, refine the algorithms, test, repeat.
That makes perfect sense.
Right.
Okay, so where do we actually see these advanced chat systems in action day to day?
Oh, they're becoming quite common.
But those sources gave some great examples. Think virtual assistants, obviously, like Siri or Alexa.
The ones many of us use daily.
Right. The customer service bots handling inquiries 24/7. Language translation and learning platforms, too, the ones that adapt as you get better.
And even, which is quite interesting, applications in mental health support and therapy.
That's a really significant area.
It is. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these applications really highlight the significant impact AI is having. It's moving beyond just simple utility into more sensitive, highly personalized interactions.
And the benefits are pretty clear, right? They seem to be really transforming industries.
Definitely.
Take 24/7 availability. Sounds simple, but the real insight is how it sort of democratizes access, makes services available anywhere, anytime. That's huge for, say, underserved communities or global businesses.
You're not limited by time zones or office hours anymore.
Exactly. Think about how often you've been stuck on hold or hit a website late at night, and the help you need just isn't there. AI changes that.
And beyond just being available, think about the personalization aspect.
yes.
That level of personalization, which is driven by continuous data analysis, can truly elevate the user experience. It's almost like having a constant real-time focus group.
How so?
Well, it reveals things like untapped market opportunities or maybe systemic product issues that you just never find through traditional surveys alone. It's a powerful tool for businesses not just to serve customers better, but also to learn from them at scale.
Okay, so it's one thing to see these intelligent assistants doing their thing, but the real question for many, myself included, is how do they actually work? What's under the hood? What are the fundamental building blocks?
Right, the nuts and bolts. At their heart, you absolutely need natural language processing, NLP. That's the core tech that lets the system understand and interpret human language.
Understanding what we actually mean.
Precisely. Then you have machine learning algorithms, ML. These let the system learn from all that data and get better over time, improving its responses.
So it's not static.
Not at all. It also needs integration with various data sources and APIs. Think of this as connecting the bot to the outside world, product databases, customer histories, you name it.
Giving it the information it needs.
Exactly. And maybe most importantly, there's this continuous training and improvement aspect. Like we said, these aren't standalone programs you just build and forget.
Right.
They're dynamic systems. They learn, they evolve with every single interaction. That's the bigger picture here.
That really highlights how dynamic they are. It's not a one-and-done build.
So, okay, for someone listening who might be thinking about, getting started, maybe building a chat system themselves, what are the general steps?
Our sources laid out a pretty universal path.
Yeah, first, define your project's purpose and goals. Like, what do you actually want this bot to do? Be specific.
Crucial first step. Then you choose a platform or a framework.
And there are options, right? Like Dialogflow, BotPress, Rasa.
And of course, the Microsoft Bot framework, which we're digging into more deeply. Right. You'll also need to get a handle on the basics of NLP and ML. You don't need to be a PhD, but understanding the fundamentals helps a lot.
Definitely. Then comes designing the conversation flows and intents.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Basically mapping out how the bot will talk and what specific user goals the intent that needs to understand and fulfill, like booking a flight, checking the weather.
Got it. And then finally, you actually develop and test the system.
Build it and try it out.
And our sources really emphasize this point. Start simple, build a basic version first, and then iteratively improve it, which sounds like really solid advice.
Absolutely. That iterative approach is key, especially for complex AI. It lets you refine based on real-world use and feedback. You don't have to aim for perfection right out of the gate.
Okay, now, if you're like me, seeing the big picture is great, but the real excitement kicks in when you think, okay, how could I actually build one?
Getting hands-on.
Exactly. And this is where our sources got really interesting, really practical, zeroing in on the Microsoft Bot framework as a specific roadmap.
A concrete example to follow.
Yeah. So to even begin with this framework, there are a few prerequisites you'll need.
Things to get set up first.
Right. You need Visual Studio, specifically version 2019 or later. You need the Bot Framework SDK itself.
Which comes for .NET using C# or for Node.js.
Correct. And you need a Microsoft Azure account. That's essential for deployment and accessing various cloud services.
Makes sense. Azure is kind of the backbone for a lot of Microsoft's cloud AI stuff, so it's central to their bot ecosystem for building and deploying.
Precisely. So once you have those prerequisites sorted, step one is actually creating a new bot project.
Getting started in Visual Studio.
Yep. You open Visual Studio, search for the bot framework template, then you choose your language, C# or Node.js, and pick a project type. Something like the Echo Bot is a good starting point.
What does the Echo Bot do?
It's super simple. It just echoes back whatever the user types. It's a great way to just confirm everything is set up and working correctly.
Okay, a basic test case.
Exactly. Step two, then, is about understanding the bot framework components, the key pieces you need to know.
The building blocks within the framework.
Right. There's the Bot Builder SDK. That's the core library, the foundation for actually coding your bot.
Got it.
Then there's a bot connector. Think of this as the messenger. It handles all the communication between your bot and the different channels it might live on.
Like Microsoft Teams or Facebook Messenger or a web chat.
Precisely. It's the bridge connecting your bot logic to those platforms. And then, crucially for understanding the user, there's LUSS.
LUS.
Yeah, LUES stands for Language Understanding. It's Microsoft's specific natural language processing service. Its job is to take the user's input and figure out what they actually mean, their intent.
Ah, so it interprets the "what's the weather" into a get weather intent.
Exactly like that. Which leads nicely to step three, designing your conversation flows.
Planning the actual dialogue.
Yep. This involves defining those intents we just talked about, the user's goals, like book flight or check order status. Then you define activities, which are the specific messages or events, like a user saying hello or joining a conversation.
Okay.
Then you craft dialogues, often using something called waterfall steps.
Waterfall step.
Yeah, think of it like a guided step-by-step conversation. Each step in the code prompts the user for specific information, moving them logically through a task. Maybe step one asks for a destination, step two asks for dates, step three confirms.
I see, a structured flow.
Exactly. And for the bot to remember anything like your name or the destination you just gave it, you need to implement state management. This is vital for keeping track of context across multiple turns in the conversation.
So it doesn't forget what you were just talking about.
Right. Then comes step 4, implementing the bot logic. This is where you actually write the code in C# or Node.js.
The core programming part.
Yep. You write code to handle those intents and activities you defined. You'll use built-in methods from the bot framework, like on-message activity async, which, as the name suggests, gets triggered whenever the bot receives a message from the user.
Makes sense.
And this is also where you integrate with external services, calling APIs, querying databases. This lets your bot actually do things, like check flight availability or update a customer record.
Giving it real functionality beyond just talking.
Exactly. Okay, so once your logic is taking shape,
Yeah.
you move to step 5, test your bot.
Crucial step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our source is highlighted using the bot framework emulator. It's a great tool for testing everything locally on your own machine before you deploy it anywhere.
Like a simulator for your bot.
Pretty much. It's
No.
like rehearsing a play before opening night, right? You want to catch any issues. The emulator lets you simulate conversations, send messages, and really thoroughly test your flows and intents.
So you can iron out the kinks early.
You got it.
Mm.
And after all that rigorous testing, you're ready for step 6,
Yeah.
deploying your bot.
Taking it live.
Yeah. This primarily involves Azure. You create what's called a bot service in Azure. This provides the cloud infrastructure, the place for your bot to live, run, and scale up if needed.
Okay.
Then you deploy your actual bot code from Visual Studio up to that Azure service. And finally, you configure the channels telling Azure where you want your bot to be accessible, like setting it up for Microsoft Teams or embedding a web chat control on your website.
Connecting it to the places users will interact with it.
Precisely. And the final step, step 7, is publish and monitor.
Launch and observe.
Basically, yeah. You publish the bot to those channels you configured, making it available to your users. But importantly, the work doesn't just stop there.
No, you need to keep an eye on it.
Exactly. You need to continuously monitor its performance using Azure's analytics tools. See how it's doing, what kind of questions people are asking, where it might be getting stuck or confused. This feeds back into improving it.
Which brings us back to that iterative improvement cycle.
It does. And that leads perfectly into some best practices and resources the sources mentioned.
Right. They reiterated some key tips, like starting simple and iterating that applies just as much when using the bot framework.
Makes sense. Don't try to build the ultimate bot on day 1.
Exactly. Also, leverage the framework's built-in features as much as possible. Don't reinvent the wheel. Test thoroughly at every single stage. And plan to continuously improve and refine your bot based on that real-world monitoring data.
Solid advice.
And for digging deeper, the sources pointed towards the official Microsoft Bot Framework documentation, lots of tutorials and samples online, and also the specific Azure Bot Service documentation for the deployment and cloud aspects. Plenty of resources out there.
Great. So, okay, let's wrap this up. What does this all mean for you, the listener? We've covered quite a bit today.
From the what and why to the how.
Right. From understanding what advanced chat actually is and why it matters, to the core technologies like NLP and ML that make it possible. And then we walk through a really practical step-by-step roadmap for actually building a bot using the Microsoft Bot Framework.
Hopefully giving you a solid foundation.
Yeah, the goal was to give you that foundational understanding and a clear path forward if you want to explore this exciting field more, like equipping you with the essentials without getting too bogged down in overwhelming technical detail.
It's definitely an empowering position to be in, just having that roadmap laid out.
I agree. And it leads us to a final thought for you to perhaps ponder on based on everything we've discussed.
Something to chew on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Given how these AI chat systems learn, how they personalize interactions, how they're becoming more integrated, what new ethical considerations or maybe even new opportunities might emerge as they become even more seamlessly woven into our daily lives.
That's a really big question, and one that's only going to become more important as this technology continues to evolve so rapidly.